Hi, I'm Soraya Green and welcome to Chapel. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so thrilled to be together this morning. We gather here to celebrate God, to praise, honor, and give thanks to the one who was, who is, and who is to come. Here we take the time to remind ourselves of the beauty of community, the importance of diversity, and the responsibility to serve. Despite all the distractions of life, we choose to sing, to pray, to listen, and reflect not only as a group of students, but as a movement of believers focused on Jesus, the one who became one of us so that we could live life abundantly. As we experience Chapel together, feel free to engage with us in the chat. We celebrate our togetherness in Jesus by choosing to. So welcome to the journey. This is Chapel.
On this journey, I get lost in my mistakes. What looks to me like weakness is a canvas for your strength. And my story isn't over, my story's just begun. And failure won't define me, 'cause that's what my Father does. Yeah, failure won't define me, 'cause that's what my Father does. Ooh. Arrival's not the end game, the journey's where you are. You never want it perfect, you just want it right heart. And the story isn't over, the story isn't good, and failure's never final when the Father's in the room. No, failure isn't final when the Father's in the room. Ooh. Shame at the door, 'cause it ain't welcome anymore. Ooh, you're in the Father's house. Prodigals come home, the helpless find out. Love is on the move when the Father's room. Raiders fly wide, the dead come to life. Love is on the move when the Father's in the room. Miracles take place, the cynical find faith. Love is breaking through when the Father's in the room. Jericho walls are breaking, strongholds are shaking. Love is breaking through when the Father's in the room. Ooh, lay your burdens down. Ooh, in the Father's house. Check your shame at the door, it ain't welcome anymore. Check your shame at the door, it ain't welcome anymore. Ooh, lay your burdens down.
Hey everyone, my name is Kiana, and this week is National Pollution Prevention. Did you know that over 1 million seabirds die annually after choking?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
On plastic straws that they mistake for food? That's why I only use metal straws. They won't kill millions of animals slowly like plastic straws do. People love to throw away trash in everything but trash cans and recycling bins.
Why?
There's trash everywhere. Like, think about the turtles. What did they do to deserve plastic straws up their noses? Save the turtles. You know, more than 60 million plastic water bottles end up incinerated or thrown away every day. Plastic bottles don't even biodegrade, they photodegrade.
What?
Meaning they just become smaller pieces of plastic over time.
Okay.
Plus, they become toxic chemicals that seep into the soil and the water. That means that not only the animals are being poisoned, but you are too. If all the animals in the world die, it's gonna be because you didn't buy a hydro flask. Be smart, don't litter, recycle, and save the turtles.
Hi everyone, good morning. This is Jessica. I'm one of the MDs for high school, and today we're going to be interviewing Mr. Desia, asking him some questions about his heritage for Hispanic Heritage Month. Hi Mr. Desia, how are you doing?
Good. Nice to see you again, Jessica.
So the first question, we want to ask you, where are you originally from?
Well, originally I'm from Argentina. That's one of the southernmost countries in South America.
Nice. And when did you come to the U.S.?
In Argentina, I was studying in a Seventh-day Adventist university. And then I get to know who is my wife today. She, Maria Luisa, is from Brazil. So we studied a few years together. Then she moved back to Brazil and I moved also there. And after a couple of years, we got married in Brazil. And then we moved. Actually, we got married and then we moved to United States. But United States was Puerto Rico. Okay, we went to Puerto Rico that belongs to United States. You know, United States is it's an island in the Caribbean that is part of the United States. So we did all the visas and everything to come as students, okay, to United States. But we went to the university in Puerto Rico. After 5 years in Puerto Rico, we came to continental United States in Washington, D.C. and Maryland.
How was the transition in cultures coming from Argentina and Brazil and Puerto Rico into the United States?
But when we moved to Puerto Rico, everything, you know, the Spanish was different. Every country, the Spanish of every country is different. Like in Argentina, we call you vos.
Yeah.
Okay? And in Puerto Rico, it's tú. And there were many words that even though we were like living in a Spanish-speaking country, I have to adapt because I have to change the way that I was talking because people didn't understand me. When we moved to the United States, we didn't know much of English. You know, like I took some English classes, you know, back in high school in my country, but you know, it's like this is a pen, this is a ruler. I remember that I was like staying to very late at night and very early in the morning. I was going to school and writing everything on the board before the students were going to come because I was, just to be sure that I was spelling every word correctly. The transition, you know, the first years, especially with English, was hard. We were like watching movies and we're bothering our friends, you know. What did they say? Can you pause? Can you explain what did they say? Oh man, poor friends here in America, you know, like they have to translate, you know, watch a movie and you have to stop, you know. Takes many years, you know, takes many years, like when you grew up in other culture, other language. Speaking Spanish, then I moved to Brazil, so Portuguese was my second one, and then English is my third language. Can
you tell us one of your favorite foods from either Argentina or Brazil?
If I mention, you know, it's my mom food, but my mom food is like, was mostly German food, okay?
Wow.
Some names are like the Kraupirog, other one is Cat's Noodle. Also, all the food of my grandma. My grandma, like, she was like waking up she was Italian and her name was Assunta Donata Di Filippo Desia. She was waking up at 4 a.m. and we were like going to visit her. And then at at 10 a.m. and she had all the pastas ready and the pizza ready and the cakes ready, everything. She did by herself, like gnocchis, raviolis, canelones, pizzas, everything. The homemade Italian food from my grandma and the homemade food from my mom, what I miss the most when I came here.
What is the thing that you value the most from your heritage?
Family is the most important thing. You know, the values that we inherit from our great-grandparents and grandparents and parents is something that continue with us. And I think that happened with all immigrants. You know, we assimilate in the way that we learn the language, you know, we learn English, we learn the history, you know, to the point that I'm teaching you as history. You know, we assimilate that way, but that doesn't mean we need to leave behind our values, you know, and that is, you know, carry, and I hope that is going to continue for generations.
I hope you all learned something a little bit more about Mr. Decia and his heritage. This is also a reminder that all you need to do to learn a little bit more about someone is just ask. So yeah, thank you so much for coming, Mr. Decia.
Okay, muchas gracias a ti, okay?
Gracias.
Have you ever faced a problem that seemed too difficult to overcome? You're looking at your grades, you know you have to raise them to get that scholarship, and you say there's no way. There's some relationship that you're involved with and it's broken, and you say it can't be fixed. You've made a mistake and you think in your head there's no way that God can forgive and love me. And as you look at this insurmountable problem, you start using words like impossible. There's no way. I'm sorry. It can't be done. My son Judah, when he was a year and a half old, faced an insurmountable problem. And to a year and a half old, it was a big deal. What was his problem? He was trying to take this tractor up the apartment stairs when we lived in Michigan. For a year and a half old, it was almost impossible. He had just learned to walk and he was trying to lug this tractor, this plastic tractor that he loved playing with in the yard. He had been playing for a long time. He was done. He was trying to take this tractor upstairs, but as he looked at the tractor and looked at the stairs, he tried to get up the stairs, but it couldn't happen. And so after some while, he was looking at the stairs, looking at the tractor, he eventually just threw down the tractor in frustration. He couldn't do it. But then, as I was standing right behind him, I simply whispered the words, "Hey, Judah, can I help?" And Judah turned around, realized that his daddy was there, and used the one word that he knew, "Yeah, Daddy, you can help." And so this tractor, I carried in my hand, I carried Judah's hand in the other, and we went up the stairs together. And it reminds me of a story in the Bible, Numbers chapter 14, when the Israelites are on the edge of Canaan. There they are trying to get into the promised land, and they send in 12 spies to look at the problems. And 10 spies come back and say, there are too many problems. There's giants in the land. We're like grasshoppers in their sights. It's impossible. Can't do it. Sorry, no way. But 2 of the spies come back and they have a completely different perspective. They come back and they say, it's possible. They didn't look at the difficulties, they looked at the possibilities. Instead of seeing the problem, they saw the solution. And the solution was God. Notice what they say in Numbers chapter 14 and verse 9. This verse is brilliant. Check this out. Only do not rebel against the Lord. Don't fear the people of the land, for they are our bread. Their protection has departed from them, and the Lord is with us. Do not fear them. Just like Judah was able to finally get that tractor up the stairs, wasn't anything he did, but he looked behind him and said, hey, my dad can help. Caleb and Joshua, as they saw the giants in the land, said, we can't do it, but God can. Do you remember as a kid riding your mom or dad's shoulders? There you are looking at everybody's knees in a crowd and you lift up your hand and say, hey, can I ride on your shoulders? And suddenly you're on your parents' shoulders and all of the giants, all of the adults, you're suddenly taller than all of them. And I think that Caleb and Joshua were riding on God's shoulders when they saw the problems in the land. On top of God's shoulders, the giants were small. On top of God's shoulders, the problems seemed like nothing. And my Loma Linda Academy friends, I want to challenge you and ask you to ride on God's shoulders. There's so many problems that you're all facing right now, so many difficulties, and it can seem overwhelming. And perhaps the best way to tackle all of the giants in your life is to ride on God's shoulders, to be on top of His back. God is asking you right now, hey, can I help you? And simply like my son Judah, taking his hand, say, God, will you help me up the stairs? Like Caleb and Joshua, get on top of God's shoulder and say, God, would you help me overcome? When you ride on God's shoulders, you don't see the difficulties, you see the possibilities. Let's pray together. Father, I thank you so much for each one of these students. I thank you for their fortitude, for their strength, for their courage in these difficult times that we're living in. And I want to ask right now that you would help each one of them, help me to ride on your shoulders, to look at the problems, to take a survey of all the difficulties and say, you know what, with God, all things are possible. And I thank you that you're going to provide a way out. You're going to help. Through the midst of the storm, you're with us. You'll never leave us. We love you, God. In your name, amen. God bless Loma Linda Academy. Hope you have a great day and weekend.
Hey guys, I'm Nandi. Before we leave, make sure you go and visit llaministry.org to get all the event links, watch past chapels, and get connected. To stay up to date with the latest news about Campus Ministries, follow Campus Ministries JH on Instagram. Thanks again for joining us. As we leave, may we enter this weekend with renewed wonder of God's gift of grace and love, which surrounds us daily. Have a great weekend. Bye!